Greetings. Welcome to our program, the second season 2 of episode 4, the starting point, program, the starting point, which we have been with you a lot of time. Maybe you're just joining for the first time, but I want you to know that we've been on this program for quite a while now, and trying to encourage one another in our relationship with our Father, and also building relationship with one another. So I hope you'll be able to connect even more and more, because we still have a lot to share with you. So I want to encourage you this moment that we are growing together. So when we listen to all this, all the sharing, we grow together. I'm growing and you're growing, and I want to encourage you, please, we need to understand that we are just sojourners, we are visitors on earth, and we're supposed to know why we're here and where we're ending. We need to know exactly our direction, our vision for the future, understanding where we're going, what happens after this, because everybody obviously is not going to stay forever. We are going to leave at some point. You and I, we're not going to be on earth forever. There is a journey we are making together. But you see, without understanding the author of our journey, the author of our life, without understanding the author of who we are, it can be a bit of a challenge for us to begin gambling, just trying to figure out how we should live. So today I want to really dwell on something quite important, and that's about love. And I want you to understand that it is love that connects us together. It's love that is our most, I would say, the driving factor in building relationship with our Father and building relationship with one another. Without love, relationship cannot grow. And that's why, if you see people separating, somewhere, somehow, there is no love there. There's something that happens to the love which is supposed to be binding together, binding those people. And now, if it breaks for any reason, that's when you see people separating, people divorcing, people hating one another. But you see, we were only assigned to love. We're only bound to love, and that's our obligation. We're mandated to love. So that means you cannot do anything less than that. So we want to make sure that we can stay in our position, and that's what my subject, I'm talking about, staying in your position. Stay in your position, and that means love. You must love. Love covers a lot of things. It covers a multitude of sins. The Bible says in 1 Corinthians chapter 13. Some of you are familiar with that chapter, but you can read it in 1 Corinthians chapter 13, where we see what love is all about. Love is it's enduring. Love covers a multitude of sins. Love does not necessarily. Love is kind. Love is tolerant. Love will be there for you. Love will not necessarily give up on you. And that's what we're supposed to be looking at. And we adapt that. We adapt that because that's our mandate. It's what really makes our living have a meaning. So without love, there's no meaning to to life. There's no meaning for you to go on living in an independent, sort of an island situation, where you don't necessarily connect with people, because there's no way you're going to connect with people without love. If you're very deceptive, obviously there are consequences, but what you reap is what you sow, because at the end of the day, people lie to one another. Relationships lie to one another. Husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, they lie to one another. They have no truth in themselves, and that's why it doesn't last. No wonder, because when you're laying your relationship on lies other than love, because I think that will be almost like the opposite of love. That's lies. You tell lies, you probably are not necessarily true to yourself. You don't necessarily mean what you say, and that will actually have some consequences. They will be hurt. You will be hurt. People don't realize that when you choose to separate from somebody, or when you choose just to do things the way you want, you will be hurt. You'll be hurting yourself. And I want you to be very careful about that, because that will help you when you realize that you are mandated to love, and then at the end of the day you can't do anything less. Because people may not necessarily, as I told you in the last episode, they may not necessarily do what you're doing to them. If you're loving them, they may not necessarily love back. What do? You definitely have to you stay in your position. So you stay in your position because if you hate anybody, it hurts. It hurts you and it will hurt somebody. Whoever actually you're trying to hate, it will hurt you. And the funny thing about when people don't like others, or maybe they hate others and they don't want to love, they want to give up on people. You know, you may pretend as if like you don't care and you can do without them, but it will hurt you. Somewhere, somehow, anything to do with giving less than love will hurt you. Believe me or not, you will be hurt. It is painful to stay with unforgiveness in your life. Because if you don't forgive, that means you don't love. So then you're giving less than what God has put up as a standard. Love is a standard, I'm telling you, my friend. It's a standard. So when you don't necessarily consider others, when you're not kind to others, when you don't forgive, you may think, well, you have a choice. No, it's not about a choice. This is a command. And if it's a command, you just have to go one way, and that's God's way. And if you want to live a fulfilling life, you have to go God's way. But if you're going to do it your own way, because you choose, because if you don't create man, you don't create relationship, if you are not involved in the making of the relationships, I'm telling you, it's too complicated to be able to just behave and do things the way you want it to be. You know? So it's like when you sow in love, when you sow love, you will reap love. And definitely, even if somebody doesn't necessarily give back to you in a way, in a measure that you expect, God will pay you back, because God is actually the one who is rewarding you for what you're doing, because you are living and behaving in a way that He has set a standard for you and for me. So that means if you are living according to the standard of God, definitely you are going to be blessed. People might hate you, as I told you much earlier. They might hate you. They might dislike you. They may be talking about you. They might be judging you. They might be criticizing you. They may see you as a wrong person, but maybe for any reason. But they may not even be a reason. But you know what? If you stay in your position of love, you are actually a winner. And I want to encourage you. Maybe your husband has not necessarily been that very good to you, or your wife, or your children, or whatever. I mean, like maybe your boss, or maybe your government, or whatever. But you see, choose love. You choose love because you'll be blessed for that. You'll be rewarded for that because you're doing it according to God's command. So, because if we stay in unforgiveness, it hurts. But you know what? You lose friends. You don't need to lose friends. When there is unforgiveness, obviously you lose friends. And apart from just losing friends, you will hurt your feelings. You will feel it. It is you'll be hurt so bad. I've seen some of the broken relationships, and sometimes like you find somebody who's really boasting about the fact that, he has maybe, separated or divorced, and I threw her out, I threw him out. You might be boasting in that way, but I believe with all my heart, inside of you, you are hurting. And even when you pretend, and maybe you start to do things that probably will make other people almost make you as if like you're just such an adorable person. I've seen many artists in life who actually may be appearing so glamorous, so wonderful and so lovable and adorable on stage, but in backstage they commit suicide. They are hurting, they are really in pain. Why? Because they have had a broken relationship maybe at some point, and now it's like they're trying to cover it up. They're trying to nurse it. They're trying maybe to put flesh to it, which is a little bit more adorable, wonderful. But you see, people can look so beautiful and wonderful on stage, or they can have some kind of external expressions that are just wonderful. But when inside they're actually rotting away. That's the problem. And it's like if they're rotting away, the pride tells them that you know what, you're okay. And like as long as people are making people seem to be adoring you, everything is okay. So they will fight so hard to be on the center stage. They will try to be, the best people out there. So they will be the people who want to attract a lot of crowds. They want crowds because crowds boost it boosts them. But you see, it may be boosted, but there are moments when you have your privacy, you have a private life, because those people who are cheering you up will not be with you all the time. You'll have the time to go to your bed by yourself. And if you go to bed by yourself, or maybe you're sitting somewhere in the bathroom by yourself, you probably are going now to come back to yourself. and you begin to analyze and to realize what exactly is you and what is going on inside of you. And that's what actually will cause you maybe a lot of hurt and even pain that can actually cause some even suicide. Now, I mean, I don't get surprised when people commit suicide when others think like they are so successful people. You know, we need to live an open life where we can share our feelings so that people can actually help us. You know, don't be too proud, you know, to be helped, because if you're in pain, you need somebody to help you. So love will actually help you. So then you can pray that God will give you the love if maybe you have something against anybody. But I'm saying this because it will help you to build a good relationship with other people. And as I told you earlier, you know, we need to build a good relationship around us, a good support network. I call it not just friends, but it's a support network. You need them. You need them. So when you're hurt, definitely it creates a dent in your support network. It creates some kind of damage in the support network. It makes you vulnerable. And people who are hurting, obviously they are vulnerable. And you know, when you're hurting inside, you'll be hurt a lot of times, because then you become vulnerable. So learn to forgive. And you know, forgiveness could be a process where you have just to keep on talking out. It's just like, I forgive, and ask God to help you. Because sometimes you think, well, I don't feel like. It's not a feeling, my dear. It's a command. If you forgive, and it's actually a condition which will make your life better. It says, forgive and you shall be forgiven. So in that regard, you need to make sure that you are looking at how you can best live a life where you're not necessarily in pain. You know, when you create a recipe, a recipe of loving people, being kind to people, exercise kindness, and ask somebody to help you in terms of how you can actually overcome maybe, but don't ever take it within yourself, within your own hands. It's like, don't make it as if like you're the one to decide. I'm telling you, you need help if you think you have to decide, because it's a command, and that will give you a good peace of mind at the end of the day. So you need to learn even to lay down your rights, because sometimes we think if somebody doesn't necessarily do to me, I mean, we have expectations, we have demands from other people, from relationships. And if you make such kind of demands and you put them too far, or maybe you raise the bar too high, and then they're not necessarily delivering what you expect them to give to you, what you're trying to do is like, this is my right. But you know what? It's not necessarily your right. You learn to lay down your rights so that you can actually live a better life. Laying down your rights will help you. But when you think it's your right maybe to hate, it's your right, and sometimes you take even pride in making sure you don't necessarily forgive people, you probably get more than what you bargained for. So I want to encourage you that at the end of the day, in such a situation, learn to lay down your right, because then there will be more valuable time with your friends. You'll have a peace of mind. You'll have, you'll actually gain physical energy. Remember, when you hate, when you're hurting, because when you're hurting, to me it's like all your feelings are all messed up. You haven't forgiven. You haven't released the people. It will drain you mentally. And if it drains you mentally, remember, if you drain your mental energy, your physical energy is going as well. Remember that. So then I want to save you from just living such a lazy, tired life whereby you're so tired almost all the time because you're weighed down by unforgiveness and all this pain and hurt feelings that you have in your life. But God will help us when we cry out to Him, and when we seek help, it will actually, talk to somebody. Talk to somebody you can trust. And sometimes there are people you may not necessarily trust them, but enough. But you know what? Talking and processing your feelings is going to help you, because they may not necessarily be your friends. But you see, sometimes we meet even strangers and you begin to pour out your feelings, and it helps sometimes. So you need to do that. So like, don't keep yourself in a cage. Don't put yourself in a box where you're being tormented by your feelings all the time. Because you lose your joy where there is no forgiveness, where you are hurting. You lose joy. And joy is the strength that we need for us to be able to be the people who we are supposed to be. Even our heart, you will hurt your feelings, your heartbeat will actually be messed up, and yet it's supposed to be maybe pumping at a certain rate, and at the end of the day you begin to develop anxiety and all that, and that's not really good, because the more you nurture those feelings and you keep those feelings and you feed on them, they will actually affect your heartbeat, and that also affects your health as well, which is not really good. In most cases, some people have to develop high blood pressure just because of that. They just have all these things going on in their lives. And I want you to just help yourself by forgiving, by releasing. You have nothing to lose when you forgive whoever. And the Bible tells us that you must forgive anyone. If you have anything against anyone, just forgive them. In Mark chapter 11, verse 25 to 26, he said, whenever you stand praying, if you have anything against anyone, forgive. So it doesn't matter. So you might think, but not that one. Not that one. I remember what he did to me. Of course I know that. But the thing is, you don't have a choice over this. This is something that you need to do in relation to God, who actually is our starting point to make better life, make better relationships. It comes from God. He births it up. He's the one to birth it out. He's the author and he's the finisher. So you can't do without him. So if you don't want to do without him, well, be my guest. But I know you're going to be hurt. But I want to tell you that forgiveness is not just a choice. It's a command. And I want to encourage you to do that. And make sure that you know that it's a command, and there is the condition whereby if you don't necessarily fulfill that, if you don't forgive, you'll not be forgiven. And if you don't forgive, obviously you stay with pain and hurt feelings the rest of your life. But if you can just forgive, the Bible says, owe no one nothing. It's like owe nothing to anyone except your obligation to love one another. That is Romans chapter 13, verse 8. Owe nothing to anyone. Meaning, you have just one choice: to love. Stay in your position. Stay in your position and love your husband. Stay in your position and love your neighbor. Stay in your position and love your children. Stay in your position and love that one who hates you. Because there's no choice. Let them do their part. But then do your part by loving, and God will bless you. God will keep your mind at peace. God will keep your heart at peace. So do not be deceived. The Bible says that do not be deceived. God is not mocked. Whatever man sows, he will reap. And I don't want you to reap pain and reap all this kind of life which is messed up. High blood pressure. You can have a control over that. And by the way, I'm not saying that all high blood pressure will be coming out, will be burst out of all this kind of thing. But it has a link. When people are living in such kind of life, because there will be a lot of anxiety. If there's anxiety in your life, definitely it will mess you up. Your blood pressure will be messed up. Your life will be messed up. You'll have unnecessary headaches sometimes. Sometimes you have migraine headaches, which you can actually avoid if you begin to put your life at peace by beginning just to relate with people in a good way. And in most cases, it's people who actually mess our lives more. Dogs don't, and that's why people sometimes are even more in love with dogs than human beings. But you see, but that's not normal. You're now you're escaping from the real you, the real human, mankind relationship, man relationship, which is supposed to be the normal way. But then when you go and then you're more inclined to dogs, you will still be hurt because there is a vacuum whereby man can only fulfill and only God can fill. So if you are relating to animals more than people, be careful, because you will not necessarily have the answer to your life. May God bless you, because I want to make sure that you are blessed and living a life that you were meant to live, a fulfilled life. May God bless your marriage, bless your relationship with your people at work, and may you begin to reconsider the people that you've been holding, kind of as enemies in your life, and you've given up on them, and yet probably they would even be a blessing to you. But now it's like you've lost them. I want you to just work towards restoring relationship, not losing them. Don't necessarily look for ways of losing friends. Don't be like when you go to court, because when you go to court, it's like it doesn't really matter. But here it's not a situation where we are looking at how we can win the case, but how we win our brothers and sisters back into our relationship. May God bless you. And please do not forget to follow my Facebook page, Brother Sam Kitalya, and I believe you'll be blessed as we continue to connect with you. I love you so much, and I just love to keep encouraging you as I encourage myself too. God bless you.
I'm not afraid.